Here we have a lab task, which is to extend the semantic search for a vector database. So by the end of this lab, you'll be able to launch a GitHub Codespace with the lab environment set up, install Qdrant and sentence transformers packages, load the sample book metadata, create a Qdrant collection and index book vectors, query the collection semantically based on book descriptions, and then filter results by the publication year. So how would we do this? First up, you would launch the Codespace here and follow the link provided to launch the Codespace on GitHub. So first, let's take a look at this one. If we go here, you can see that this environment has something called a dev container. If you go into it, it has a Docker file and it has a dev container JSON. What this means is that inside this Docker file, it's got everything set up for a Python virtual environment. The dev container is also configured so that it's all ready for you to go. And further, what that means is that if I ever want to launch it, I can just select right here, go ahead and launch with Codespaces. And this is one of the nice things about working with a complex setup like a vector database is I could just select it and the environment is already pre-configured. Now, if we go down here to the next step, which would be make sure that the packages are set up. And this is a installation step that you can run by doing the requirements file. So inside this requirements file, we see that Qdrant is already set up for this tutorial. And if we go to the make file here, you can see that you can just do a make install and it'll install everything for this particular project. So there's not much to do other than launching and then doing a make install. Next up here, what you'd want to do is put your data inside of a books.py file. And how would we actually know how that works? So if we go back here to the tutorial, you can take a look at the official tutorial here and notice that if we scroll down here, there's a documents setup that has a list of dictionaries inside of it. You could make this a books.py file, and then that will get you set up. Further, if we go down here and we do create a Qdrant collection, you would just install according to the instructions an in-memory database, and then finally you would do the sentence transformers, execute a query, and then add the filter modifier to query to only return recent books. Now, once you've got that done, the final challenge activities would be to try to find a larger data set, for example, like Wikipedia summaries, benchmark the performance for different vector sizes, add multiple filters on the metadata, for example, like author name, and then you could even visualize the vectors using something like principal component analysis. So this is a great setup here. It's all configured, ready for you to go, and it's up to you to kind of take it to the next level. But go ahead and get started and learn about vector databases.